Welcome to Two Birds, One Stone, an Arizona Cardinals podcast. Today is January 2nd or something like that. And the Cardinals skid is over. Fuck the Dallas Cowboys. Cardinals go to Dallas, Kyler World, and beat the Cowboys 25-22 on the road. They bounce back. And
we're back, bitches.
We're right on track. What did we say a couple weeks ago? We win a couple games. We win a big game, primetime game. Everybody's watching. The Detroit Lions game? I forgot about it. It's over. We're contenders.
We played them. Don't remember.
So
I said last week, I think I said the week before, if we can beat Dallas, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. And we beat Dallas, so ergo, none of it matters, right?
Correct. Kyler now 9-0 at AT&T Stadium. Going back to high school, everybody knows the stats about that, whatever. The important thing is 2-0 with the Cardinals at Dallas Stadium. And he played well. It felt like for the first time in a little bit, the run game was not effective really whatsoever. Chase Edmonds never really got going. Kyler really had to control the game with his arm and his legs, and that's what he did. He felt like he was in control for most of the game. No turnovers.
I kind of feel going into this game, it was more of Dallas's big, bad, revamped defense that has been helping them out a bunch this year. Micah Parsons looked good. He did. He looked like the best player out of the draft. He looked really good. It looked like he belonged. Trayvon Diggs, I'm going to do a little bit of a hot take. Trayvon Diggs won't be talked about again after this year. I don't think he's a good corner. I think he's gotten really lucky and been in some perfect spots to make easy picks all year.
Let me give you.
I don't think he's a good corner.
Back you up.
Yeah, let's hear that.
Trayvon Diggs, obviously the 11 interceptions. I think that's the most since like the 80s. So great, good job. You make plays when the ball's thrown your way. That's great. In coverage, Trayvon Diggs has given up 1,000 yards receiving, more than anybody else in the NFL. So he got burnt bad on that first drive on a 40-something bomb to AJ Green. A little underthrown by Kyler, but when somebody's that wide open, it's like just make the play, make sure we move the ball downfield, and we did. Completed AJ there. They ended up settling for 3, but that's something else. But yeah, he didn't.
He's not that good. Out. He's not good. I feel like this season he's just been like in the right place at the right time, and got lucky to be able to have some balls thrown directly at him. But no, he's not. I mean, as a former cornerback myself, I tend to pay a good attention to detail at that position. And no hot take. Next year at this time, we won't even remember that he exists.
Yeah, that's such a weird yin and yang there. Like, oh my gosh, he's an interception machine, and then he's, statistically one of the worst guys in coverage in the NFL. Yep. So, but yeah, Cardinals went on the road, but they were missing DeAndre Hopkins, J.J. Watt, Robert Alford, Marco Wilson. Humphries was out with COVID. Marcus Golden was out with COVID. James Conner out again. Rondale Moore out again. That's impressive. We're down a lot of bodies. That's a very talented Cowboys team. They had pretty much all their pieces on offense. I guess Gallup went out after that touchdown catch, but fucking Cedric Wilson made big plays at the end of the game when they really needed it. They just had a lot of weapons, and with the amount of injuries that the Cardinals defense had, Vance Joseph put on a fucking clinic.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you were to take our people on our injured list and put them on a team themselves, they would be able to make a playoff push. Like that's how many stars we had out. But no, I think it was kind of the first game I've seen for a while where it's not been one side that's carried the other. It's kind of been pretty even. I guess you could say that the defense maybe carried the load a bit, but then there's then whenever I think about it more, I'll think of a point when the offense made a big play and made it happen. So
I hate when people say like, oh, the defense bailed out the offense again. I saw that a lot after the Simmons forced fumble. It's like, that's their fucking job too. What do you mean? Yeah.
Kind of like
they're supposed to go make plays as well. They get paid money too. They don't just need to step up when the offense is slacking or whatever, back and forth. But there was a lot of like batted passes at the line of scrimmage. Like guys were flying around Buddha for the second week in a row, really just kind of like flashed when earlier in the season, not that he was playing poorly, but you didn't hear his name a lot in the game. There was very few like shots down the field, I felt, by the Cowboys. Like with all their weapons, it seemed like a lot of their chunk plays were on check downs to either Pollard or Zeke or a tight end in the flat. And I think that had a lot to do with like how well the secondary played and with how depleted they were back there. I mean, Vance has to put the guys that are out there in the best spot to succeed, and that happened.
Back
Chandler
to
Jones did well
after the quarterback. To Buddha. Buddha Baker is probably the only defensive player, excluding edge rusher, that like can single-handedly like take over a game, like can just impact a game. He did that today or in the first half. I've seen him do it a couple times before, but he's the only non-edge rusher that I've seen just like it seems like every play after play after play, he's making a play, he's batting the ball down, he's big. I don't know. Right. But yeah, I kind of want to throw that in there.
It was impressive. And like I said, Chandler Jones made a couple of big tackles for loss. We talked about, I think when we had Johnny on, he's still an elite pass rusher, elite to very good. And his fault might be his ability to help with the stopping the run. With his age and athletic ability kind of declining. The last couple of weeks, Colts game 2, he had some big plays making tackles in the backfield. So he's kind of showing and picking up that spot where JJ was kind of excelling. Now Chandler Jones is kind of picking up and helping against the run. And it showed, let me see, what was the numbers for the Cowboys on the run or on the ground? On the ground, it was similar to what we saw earlier in the season when the Cardinals had success. You get out to a lead, force the other team to be one-dimensional, because they're coming from behind and throwing the ball. We talked about that over and over again. Wow. The Cowboys didn't have a guy with double-digit carries. Zeke had, this is fucking nuts. Wow. The Cowboys as a team had 17 carries for 45 yards. That's 2.6 yards a carry. Zeke with 9 for 16, Pollard for 3 for 9, and Dak had 5 rushes for 20 yards.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong. That's crazy. I know they have the Zeke and Pollard, but they're really not that run heavy of a team, are they?
I mean, when the Cowboys are right, they're a balanced team. And I'm not saying Zeke is like still an elite monster back, but they have a very good 2 complementary backs. Pollard has a lot of burst. He had 3 carries for 9 yards, but it seemed like catching the ball out of the backfield. He's got some acceleration to him. He's a skilled player. Everybody knows that. So I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I know Dak does. He drops back a lot, but you gotta have a balance.
That's great. I'm acknowledging that that's awesome. I just kind of wanted to push back a little bit because I don't think that they're this super crazy run heavy team. I know that you see the Zeke Elliott and the Tony Pollard both on the roster, but I don't think that they're this super crazy run heavy team. Also, you have to keep in mind that they were behind all game. Like they weren't going to run. Like they were trailing almost all game.
Make one-dimensional. The counterpoint, the Lions had a back that ran for like 140 against us. So, Zeke and Pollard holding them to 9 and 16 yards respectively. Either way, a big improvement. Defense really, they did their job. Offense, guys were stepping up. Zach Ertz had 7 catches. He seems to be kind of like the new comfort blanket guy for Kyler. He's in a spot. Look for number 86, where it used to be Hopkins. Hopkins' replacement playing that X spot on the outside. Antoine Wesley had 3 catches, I believe, for 40 yards and the 2 touchdowns. The second, both were incredible. The first play with the Cardinals' first score when Kyler fakes the bootleg and then flicks it off. That corner or the linebacker that rolled out with Kyler got a piece of it. That's a difficult catch for anybody to make, and the control and awareness of Wesley to kind of track it all the way in and not lose balance of it or side of it. It was a good play there, but the second one was just a great athletic go up and get it. I think it was like a 30-yard bomb left side of the field. Great play. You love to see that.
I was very impressed with him. AJ, I thought, had a decent game. He just
was all right.
I feel like his role kind of down at this point in the season is to be, especially with D-Hop out, just kind of be like the deep threat, the guy who you could throw a deep fade to in the end zone, or just he feels like he's just strictly a deep threat guy at this point because he can outrun you, and he's taller, he has more physicality than most corners, and he's taller and he's faster than most corners too. So I feel like that's kind of his MO at this point.
His average catch is probably fairly decent. He had 3 for 74 today, 24 yards a catch. That's just today, but I told you during the game, he was at like 750 yards receiving prior to the start. He's got a shot at 1,000. He has a big game next week. That'd be pretty impressive. And a lot of people like that would be a quiet 1,000 yards for sure, because he has had a very kind of rocky up and down season where there's been at times where miscommunication with Kyler has really showed. But I mean, at times he makes big plays when they need to be made. Greg Dortch, I think he only had 2 touches or something like that, but you saw a lot of him motioning in the backfield. It seemed like he was just plug and play where Rondo Moore would play.
Right.
I mean, he didn't make any mistakes. He had a couple touches and they both went for 10 plus yards. So stepped up there. Yeah. Isaiah Simmons. So up to this point, that's all going on. Cardinals are in a good spot. They got themselves to a 22-7 lead to start the fourth quarter. First play of the fourth quarter, the Cowboys have a 4th and 1 at the Cardinals 20-something yard line. It's kind of do or die time. If they don't score, the Cardinals could really put the game away on the next drive. They end up getting it on a keeper by Dak. The next play is a touchdown to Cedric Wilson. They get a 2-point conversion. It's now 22-14, 1-score game. In a game that, like I said earlier, it was very controlled. Like the Cardinals kind of had everything going their way. The Cowboys get back into it, and then the Cardinals have to punt it right away. They go 3 and out. So the Cowboys get the ball back, and then there's a deep shot to CD for like 30 yards. Like, oh shit. The Cowboys are about to put something together. This game kind of feels like it might be slipping away. And then Isaiah Simmons comes off the edge, misses Dak initially on the sack. Dak ends up taking off. Isaiah Simmons doesn't give up on the play, hustles to catch up, and punches the ball out. Cardinals recover. Dennis Cardeck recovers. And that spot in the game was humongous. Mm-hmm. You see, whether it's warranted or not, you see a lot of people talking about how good CD has been and how the Cardinals passed on CeeDee Lamb and some of these other big receivers. Felt like that was kind of like a big moment for him to be like, I'm still here too. I'm still a playmaker on the defense. And he went out there and got the ball right back for us. Cardinals ended up getting a field goal, make it 24-14, yada, yada, yada. Cowboys do score again, but the Cardinals hold on. So big ups to Isaiah Simmons, who
that was awesome.
Made some plays. Led the team with 10 tackles as well.
I've been kind of waiting for Isaiah to have a game like this. I know we talked about Budda Baker earlier, but he was kind of the other guy on defense that I thought really kind of stood out. And I think that Zach Allen played really good. He just always seems to just
he's improving.
In the face. He always just this is his second year?
This is third year. He was taking the same draft as Kyler, I believe.
So third year, and he's basically like this is basically his rookie season, right? He didn't really play much as rookie.
He was out a lot this year, right? Last year, and he missed some game time this year, but yeah, he's not a lot of games.
Yeah, I feel like if the more experience he gets, the better he's going to be. I know that we talked about kind of in the beginning of the year, he was a guy that we were going to look at because we've heard whisperings of this great Zach Allen and how awesome.
They loved him coming out of college.
Yeah, and I love him now. I just feel like he's always in somebody's face, whether it's the running backs or whether it's the quarterbacks, and it's going to be cool to kind of watch him continue to elevate, because I really think he could be like an elite guy, like a Chandler Jones. Or
I mean, you're learning behind Chandler and you're learning behind JJ.
There's nobody else you could ask for.
Right, the pieces are there. Just get better, and he's getting better as the season goes on, and we need it with the guys that we have out. Byron Murphy had a kind of a bad day. He led up the touchdown on the crosser to Cedric Wilson that I talked about a second ago. He led up the next touchdown to Amari Cooper that made it a 3-point game late in the fourth. Not great. He also led up the 2-point conversion after the second touchdown. You'll have that. I mean, he's still a young guy, growing pains. Everybody has an off game. He's had a kind of a rough stretch of games, a little bit. Nothing I'm not going to panic
his department as a whole have kind of, I wouldn't put it all on him. I feel like he's still kind of held his own in this stretch, excluding this game. But I feel like his department, so to speak, the secondary as a whole has kind of been the weak link these past 3-4 losing streak games.
Right. But we can improve on that. We'll get better. I don't know how long Alford is out. Maybe we get him back. Who knows with Marco?
How long is Marco? Oh, okay.
Apparently we don't know. We don't know about a lot of the Cardinals that are injured because they keep a lot of that shit close to the vest. We all thought James Conner was playing today. Ian Rappaport reported Cardinals expect the James Conner today. Then an hour before game time, Peter Schrager says he's not playing. So, who knows? We'll see what happens. But it would be great to have him back. The secondary played well today, but just to have them back for depth would be fantastic. I alluded to it there. The Cowboys did end up making it a 3-point game after the Amari Cooper touchdown. The Cardinals get the ball back with 4:27 left or something like that. Example we've talked about time and time again. Okay, 4-minute drill. Can you run the ball and push bodies out of the way when the other team knows exactly what you're going to do? They haven't been able to do it all game. They were terrible on the ground. Chase Edmonds was, I got to look it up because it was pretty putrid. And it's not all Chase's fault, obviously, but 18 carries for 53 yards, 2.9 yards a carry. For everybody that's saying, hey, Cliff, run the ball, he didn't give up on the run. He gave him 18 carries. He just happened to have under 3 yards a carry. So you got to keep trying and keep pounding it, and maybe something breaks. It just never ended up happening. So the Cardinals are in a spot where the run game hasn't worked all game, and Cliff had to get creative. He ran 2 or 3 speed options, another keeper by Kyler to move the sticks, a lot of just like moving parts and motions, because at that point, you're not just going to line up and run a trap and get 4 or 5 yards. That wasn't happening. So I loved that. I thought we got very good Cliff today. As I said, that drive, he was great. I liked the aggressiveness. A lot of people were bitching about the 2-point conversion to make when it was 19-7. Cardinals score. It's 13-7. Cardinals score touchdown. It's 19-7. Cardinals lined up to go for 2. I was like, okay, that makes sense. You get the 2-point conversion. It's an even 14 points up. Like, that makes sense. You see that all the time. It's like, what? You take the points here. It just doesn't make sense. That's crazy. We'll ask him about it. It's like, I don't know. Did that make you?
No, it so if we were to just take the 1 and instead of going for 2, that means it would have been 20-7.
Correct.
So that means instead of us being up by 13, we would have been up by 14 if we would have went
correct
and got the 2.
Correct.
I don't understand why you wouldn't I don't understand what. There's no difference. No, why you wouldn't? There's no different there is a difference. No, I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say here.
I'd like to explain it to you real quick.
Yeah. No, I know it. Like you're 2. A touchdown is worth 6 points, and an extra point adds on to it. So likely, if a team scores a touchdown, they get 7 points. Okay, here's what I'm trying to say.
So the Cowboys being down 7-21 would mean they'd have to score. If they scored 2 more touchdowns, they'd get 21 points. So if you go for 2, you're even. If you don't, you're down a point. You know what I'm saying?
I know. What I'm trying to say is the risk is much less than the reward, if that makes sense. Like, you're not really risking a whole lot to get something that for a reward that would make us up a full 3 scores, right? You understand what I'm saying?
I get it. Yeah. But I mean, I'm saying that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it makes sense. And analytics, I mean, I'm sure lots of coaches around the league would have done the same thing. It just, everybody's acting like he was such a moron for that play. I was like, I thought it.
Well, I'm glad
made perfect sense.
I'm glad.
But another aggressive play call, the 4th and 5, fake punt. Chris Banjo throws a not so good ball to JoJo Ward. JoJo Ward is being tackled as the ball's coming to him, traps the football against Dallas's defender's helmet, and brings it down to the ground and controls it the whole way through. Pass interference was called on the play. Didn't matter because he fucking caught it. It was probably the best catch of the year.
That was pretty sweet.
JoJo. It was sick. So that's just another thing. You take a chance. It's 4th and 5. Cardinals were up, I believe, 13-7 at the time. They were driving. So you stole a possession there. I think Troy Aikman said in those kind of games, when you got to have it, take those kind of chances, and it worked out. So
perhaps
I thought it was good Cliff today.
Hashtag don't fire Cliff. As of right now, I'm not saying that that could not change, but as of right now, he's on my cool seat.
Well, there you go, Cliff. Good for you.
You're welcome.
Overall, fantastic. I mean, I don't think you said before the game that you just had a feeling and the Cardinals were going to win today. I don't really think many fans, you can back them and be like, I'm here for them no matter what, we're going to lose. I don't think a lot of us really expected to come out with a win with how we have looked the last few weeks, how Dallas has looked the last few weeks, but they went out and got it fucking done. Now we're in a good spot. The Rams lose next week to the Niners and we beat Seattle. We still win the division. So
I think it might be a gypsy.
You think so?
Because I can just feel it. Like I woke up today with a different feeling than I have. The only game that I've been wrong about this has been the Lions. That's the only game I've been wrong.
Okay, make sure to tweet at AZCardsG before every game and be like, hey, what's the feeling this morning?
Yes, I have a feeling. I literally, before the game started, I told you, I had a feeling that we're going to win this game. And we won.
You did say that.
The Colts
Folks,
game.
he's not lying. He said he had a feeling, and it paid off.
I even looked up the lines. It was plus 6.5 to the Cardinals spread wise. And it was like plus 300. Does that sound right?
Something like that. I don't know.
Money line.
Sure.
I almost bet on him, but I forgot I'm retired.
Speaking of Cardinals plus 6.5, Andy Isabella at like 10 a.m. this morning posted on his Instagram story. Hey, do you guys remember Andy Isabella, right? Second round pick a couple years ago. He did. He was on the field a couple times. You know, he was out there. That's good. I mean, whatever. Okay. Andy Isabella this morning at like 10 a.m. posted a story on his Instagram. He had a cowboy hat on, a Cardinals team hoodie, some aviators. Looks like he's growing a mustache. And posted plus Cards plus 6.5 all day. Let's fucking go. That's kind of a weird thing for a to post, right?
So I said this earlier, and you told me to save it for the podcast. How fucking funny would it be if Andy Isabella, like a story broke, Andy Isabella, of all people, was betting on Cardinals games? That would be fucking funny, dude. That'd be so funny.
Andy Isabella was the NFL's Pete Rose, and he was out there just shaving points. I think
that story like reminded me of like the weird kid in high school who like everyone like was doing like everybody was like doing like something that was cool. Like everybody was like drinking, and like he posted on a story like him with like a beer. He's like, me talking about betting. I'm talking about betting. I'm cool too. That's what that
so odd for a player to go on Instagram and be like first of all, like, oh, Cardinals are gonna win. Let's fucking like.
Especially a player who doesn't affect the outcome of the game.
Absolutely.
Like,
but to put the point spread like plus 6.5, hammer it. Cardinals I found that so odd. Like you said, especially for a guy that just doesn't play. Maybe that's why maybe it's like, I don't really even play for the team. I'm just throwing bets out there. Fuck it.
He might have dude, if Andy Isabella if he gets in trouble for fucking that, I'm gonna get t-shirts made of something.
I went back before I tweeted the picture out. I went back to make sure he didn't delete it like this afternoon after the game. No, it was still on there. I figured I caught it. One of those things was like, oh shit, he's gonna delete it. No, it's still there. Go check.
I'm gonna call that a story is gonna come out here within the next couple months, or maybe in the off season, that Andy Isabella gets busted for betting on games.
Andy Isabella, the NFL's Pete Rose. So I thought that was hilarious. But guess what we get to do?
Go to Seattle.
We get to give out a 2 birds, 1 stone player of the week. Let's go. It's been a long time. We haven't given this out since December 5th after the Chicago game.
And we haven't talked about who it is. So this is going to be all solely on you.
Bad football and not able to celebrate good football when there has been because we haven't won games. Guess what? We won a football game today. So we get to give out this prestigious honor. And for the first time in 2 birds, 1 stone history, there has been a repeat winner of the 2 birds, 1 stone player of the week.
Kyler Cole.
None other than Kyler fucking Murray, boys and girls. Let's go.
Back on his bull-ish. I know I just completely ruined that for you.
We saw 1 in 7, weeks 1 through 7, Kyler today. Like I said, poised, controlled, knew where he was going with the football, took care of the football, no turnovers. Kyler, 26 of 38, 307 total yards, 263 in the air, 44 on the ground, and 2 passing touchdowns. Good shit, Kyler Murray. That's history right there, baby.
At a baby.
We knew it was bound to happen eventually. Somebody was going to win it more than once. You can't not give it to Kyler going home, hauling against.
Everybody expected him to do it. Everyone knew it was going to be him. It was just a matter of when.
It was only a matter of
where
time.
And what time.
But yeah, congrats to him. I thought about Buddha or Simmons. Those both. I think Buddha has not won this award. I don't think Simmons has either. We could have kept the streak going of new guys. You can't deny Kyler, though. That was a beautiful game. It felt good to watch him. It seemed like he was just back in the driver's seat, baby. Yeah. The rust is off. So, yeah, Cardinals are now 11-5. Rams sit at 12-4. It's so weird saying that 11-5. That's usually, the end of the season, but we got one more week. Rams 12-4. Like I said earlier, Rams lost, Cardinals win, division champs. So we'll be watching the Niners and Rams game very closely next week. Seahawks are no slouch. I'm not necessarily
they played
nervous
very well
about
today.
They put up.
Granted, they were playing the Lions, but the Lions obviously they can be pretty tough sometimes.
They are frisky,
to some people. They're very frisky.
We'll get to that game.
They looked pretty tough.
We'll get to that, but it all comes down to week 18. Who would have thought? So we'll go around the league before we let you all go on with their lives. Falcons, Bills. Bills kind of outlasted a really poor game from Josh Allen, who was 11-26 for 120 yards with 3 picks and no touchdowns. He did rush for 81 yards and 2 scores. But it's kind of an ugly game. Bills, the most inconsistent team in football. They can look like world beaters one
besides
week
the Chargers.
Struggle. Yes, Chargers are also pretty inconsistent. So are the Cardinals at times. But Bills do win at home, improved to 10-6. Falcons dropped to 7-9. At one point, I thought the Falcons might make the playoffs slightly for 1 week. I think they were 500. It's like, sneaky Matt Ryan. Giants, Bears. What a freaking snoozer. Bears 29, Giants 3. That was another Mike Glennon start, I believe. We've talked about Mike Glennon enough, so we're not going to talk about him much more. Actually, I have to say something. They only attempted 11 passes. The team had a total of -10 passing yards after you took out sack yardage. So that's embarrassing. Andy Dalton got the start, threw a touchdown, threw a pick. Mediocre as always, average, and Bears win. So good for Chicago. Giants just blow it up, fire everybody, get rid of Saquon. Chiefs and Bengals. Bengals, that's a huge win for them. At home, Chiefs coming into town. Chiefs have won 8 in a row or whatever it was, and they win a very close game, a good game, 34-31. Burrow, 446 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. I saw a stat. Burrow in the last 2 weeks has 971 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, and no picks. Pretty freaking good.
He'll win MVP next year. Mark it down now.
You think so? You gonna bet on that? Yeah. Mahomes threw for 259 and 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. We were watching a decent amount of this game. The Bengals were down 28-7. Came Warren back?
No, it was 28-17.
28. I know it was lower than that. It was 28-14 at the least. Either way, the Bengals had to fight their way back into it. They do so, and they managed the game very weirdly at the end. The Bengals had a a goal to go situation with it was like a minute to go, and you could tell they were trying to milk the clock and make sure the Chiefs didn't have any timeouts left, and they do. And then they finally do end up running a play to try and go for it. It's called short, and they decide to go for it with 40 seconds to go. They go for a touchdown instead of just kicking the field goal and going up 3 points. That's pretty wild to be that scared of Patrick Mahomes to where you don't want to just have a 3-point lead and give him the ball back with 40 seconds and no timeout. 40
seconds with no timeout.
That
is nuts.
You'd risk getting no points over that scenario.
I was on board whenever we I was on board whenever they first the first time that they did it. I was like, okay, that's fine.
Right.
But then after they got the luckiest fuck calls, both of them against them, then I was like, kick it. That makes no sense. Now you kick it.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes is not God. He's not Zeus. He's not the other Poseidon, the water one. He's just Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick Mahomes with 40 seconds, no timeouts does not make any sense.
He was trying to they line up and they go for it. Zach Taylor leads the offense out there, Bengals head coach, and they run the play, and it's a dump off to Mixon. He might have got in, his knee might have been down, but there was offsetting penalties, so the play didn't count. And everybody kind of is like, whew, okay, maybe we just kick it now. And then, nope, offense stayed on the field. Didn't they?
Yeah, I believe so.
How did they end up kicking it?
No, they never kicked it, didn't
wait, what ended up happening? We're fucking idiots.
Scored a touchdown.
Oh, no. The next play, there was a pass interference in the end zone. So it was an automatic first down.
And then they kneeled it.
We circled around to it. We got to it.
And then they nailed it.
We made a few trips, but we got back around. There's a pass interference.
Because Burrow got hurt. And then his backup came in, nailed it twice, spiked it, and then kicked the field goal 2 seconds.
Wow, that was hard, dude. I feel bad for the people that are listening. People that are listening and watch that game, they're like, no, dude, like fucking get it. Like, okay. Anyway, Bengals get a big win. They win the AFC North. They're 10-6. Chiefs fall to 11-5. And because of a Titans win and their tiebreaker, they're also 11-5. Chiefs drop out of the top seed in the AFC. So huge playoff implications in that game. That was a tough recap. That was Dolphins, Titans. Like we said earlier, a few seconds ago, Titans end up winning today, 34-3. Put the Dolphins win streak at a halt. They had won 7 in a row. They dropped to 8-8. Titans moved to 11-5. And with that win, because of the head-to-head, they are now the 1 seed in the AFC. And that blows my fucking mind. That was the most under-the-radar number 1 team in the AFC in years. And I know how you feel about the Titans. Mm-hmm. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time talking about it. But credit to them. They have been banged up all year, and to sit in the spot where they are.
That's football. Everybody's banged up all year.
Right. But the AFC is so weak. The number 1 seed has an 11-5 record. That's nuts.
Yep.
Matt Castle's Patriots back in 2008 didn't even make the playoffs with an 11-5 record. How wild is that?
It's a soft AFC. And the Titans are a soft pussy ass team. The quarterback's ugly.
Zing. Hey, easy. Good for the Titans. Bad for the Dolphins. That's not great for their playoff chances. Raiders at Colts. Raiders, they weren't losing this game.
Yeah, Derek Carr.
John Madden, do it for John Madden. They had the decals on the helmet. You're not losing. We've talked about this Broncos game after Demaryius Thomas passed away. There was just something about those like.
You know what they say in the showbiz game. In showbiz, you're never supposed to waste a crisis, and that's applies to NFL's teams as well.
And the Raiders needed it for sure. That moves them to 9-7. A win next week against the Chargers would put them in the playoffs. The Chargers also, it's win or go home for both those teams, I believe. This drops the Colts down to 9-7. I haven't looked at any of the like seeding pictures. I have no idea where they're sitting, but there's a clump of teams right there at the bottom of the playoff picture with 9-7 records. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. That's a tough one for the Colts after how good they were playing and winning that big game against us. To drop that at home. Yikes. Patriots, Jaguars in New England. Patriots won 50-10. Really needed that. People were really kind of starting to question the Pats and Mac Jones particularly. He had a couple games in a row with multiple turnovers. I don't think he had any turnovers today. 3 touchdowns, no picks. They ran the ball effectively 181 yards on the ground and 4 touchdowns. So there you go, Patriots getting back on track at the right time, maybe. That's your team, right?
Yep. My AFC team. Good for the Patriots. Way better than the fucking Titans. Sorry. I'm kind of
oh my gosh, dude.
I'm sorry.
Let it go, will you? We already won that game. Okay, yeah. Maybe we
already beat the Super Bowl. You're right. We already beat the fuck out of the poor fucking dumb fuck Titans with their so-called best running back in the league. We already beat them by 28 points or something like that. Yeah. You're right. It doesn't matter. You're right.
Correct. Bucks at Jets. Lot to unpack in this game. The Bucks were trailing, 17-10 at one point, 24-10 at one point, I believe. And then Antonio Brown quit. Antonio Brown, something that I don't think anyone has ever seen before, on the sideline, chatting it up with Mike Evans, just takes his shoulder pads off, throws them, takes his shirt off, throws it into the crowd, takes his gloves off, throws them, and just trots on the sideline, around the end zone,
through the end zone, through the end zone, walking on the field, through the end zone, does a little
dance, blowing kisses to the crowd, waving by. He was just waving by because he's never going to play football again. He just, see you guys, that was it. Going home, I won't get another opportunity. He just said, I'm done. Like, I've never heard or seen anything like that ever. Like, it was pretty incredible.
There's a 34% chance he's on crank, I think. But if he's not, he probably just needs help. That's kind of weird to see. There's probably going to be some kind of documentary that comes out in 40 years, it's going to be whenever he dies and he's going to have all this CTE.
Check his brain and
yeah, that's definitely going to happen for sure.
A lot of people were pointing out the fact that he needed X amount of catches, X amount of yards, X amount of touchdowns to get huge amounts of incentives in his contract, like a 1.1 million, I believe, is what it added up to. And rumors are kind of saying that he felt like he wasn't getting targeted enough and was pissed because he didn't think he was going to reach these numbers. And I looked at, he had 5 targets. When
very
he left.
reachable.
I don't know when exactly he left the game, but he had 3 catches and 5 targets. Like, it's not like he wasn't on the field. Bruce Arians, after the game, as I said he is not a member of the Bucs anymore. So I don't think B.A. really wanted him there in the first place. I think he was put in a tough spot with Brady kind of trying to bring him along, and especially recently with the injury to Godwin. If he's a good football player, Bruce Arians obviously wants to win games, so he put up with it a little bit. But obviously that's a stretch a little too far. I don't think any coach in the National Football League would put up with something like that. So
right.
I don't know. Get better, Antonio Brown. That's
Quit
a
being
tough
a
one.
Psycho, AB.
We didn't get the Bucs end up coming back. Of course,
Yes.
They won 28-24 on a last-second touchdown pass from Brady. So we all had our hopes up watching that one, and like, maybe the Jets hang on. That'd be cool, but alas, they did not. They got Carolina next week, so look to finish strong again. They're 12-4 now, and the Jets are 4-12. Eagles at Washington. Eagles win another one, 20-16. They're 9-7 as well. Washington, they were in a good spot not too long ago. They were like 6-7, 6-6. They're now 6-10, and really fell off there at the end. But Eagles, again, run the football, play good defense, win close games. So good for them. They're in the hunt. Rams at Ravens. I love Tyler Huntley. I think he's a backup for the Ravens. I think he's played awesome every time Lamar has been out. He almost got the job done for us. He was this fucking close. That close. Rams end up the Ravens led most of this game. Like, they had it in hand. They were up 17-6, and then the Rams, or 19-6, something like that. Rams kind of mount a comeback. The Rams with I think like a minute to go on 4th down. Stafford hits Odell on 4th and 5, move the chains. A couple plays later, hits Odell again for the go-ahead touchdown to make it 20-19. So we all got our hopes up a little bit there. Obviously, a Rams loss would have been humongous for the Cardinals division hopes, but alas, it didn't happen. We took care of business ourselves, though, so it all leads to next week. Stafford played poorly again. He had 2 interceptions.
And he had 5 fantasy points. I know that.
Not great. I wanted to say a lot worse numbers, but the rest of the numbers aren't that bad. He had 26-35, 300 yards, and 2 touchdowns. QBR of 58, rating of 96. So whatever. He had 2 turnovers. Fuck it. He played bad.
Yeah, fuck you, Matt Stafford.
Next game.
Not that hot.
Broncos at Chargers. Chargers bounce back 34-13. Again, next week they'll play the Raiders for it all. Winner gets to go to the playoffs. 49ers Texans. Jimmy G was out. Trey Lance got to start. A good team to start against for your second start ever. 16-23, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Good. That's a solid game.
Solid game. Well, the Texans, but still a solid game. Yeah.
Good game.
It's an NFL team.
Run game. They had 175 yards on the ground. Elijah Mitchell with 119 of them. So Niners pick up a win, playing well. Maybe they can go and take care of business for us next week.
I wonder if it's Trey Lance after a start like that next week.
Do you want him to? Who do you want to start?
I want Trey Lance to start. You can't sit him. Yeah, you can't sit him.
Garoppolo kicked the shit out of him earlier.
You can't sit him.
I guess we'll see what happens. We'll be watching that closely, obviously. 23-7 Niners. Saints at home against the Panthers, 18-10. The Saints are still alive. If the Niners do lose next week, the Saints will get in the playoffs. So we hope that doesn't happen. But who started today for the Saints? Taysom Hill got the start. I don't really even want to talk. Who cares? This is 18-10. Ugly game, sounds like. Kamara only had 32 yards.
Oof.
68 receiving, though, and a touchdown. So there you go.
Good for him.
Saints defense played well. So I'll give them that. Oh, wow. Lions at Seahawks. I said they put up a 40 burger. They put up a 50 burger, 51-29 at home. Let's see. Russell Wilson, 20-29, 236 and 4 touchdowns. They had 265 yards on the ground.
Wow.
So we talked about how good our run defense was today. We'll see. Rashad Penny had 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wowzers.
Yeah.
They're 6-10. Detroit drops to 2-13 and 1. Yikes. Okay. I'm a little nervous about the Seahawks next week.
It'll be fine.
What did we say in our season opener when we said who would be standing at the end? Just waiting to crush our perfect season prediction. Remember? It's not a perfect season, but it is a possible division championship. And who's standing right there in the way? Fucking Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. So that's unnerving, but we'll see. We beat him once already, and that was with Colt McCoy. So,
right.
And that's it. We've got Vikings right now trailing the Packers 10-37. So Packers will move on to 13-3. Vikings will drop to 7-9. This game, with all the games that are being pushed back because of COVID, I mean, the Vikings don't have their quarterback. Let's see. I don't think they have Dalvin Cook because he's not their leading rusher. Sean Mannion is. Yeah, they do have Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook has 9 carries for 13 yards. Gee, Manitli.
Interesting.
That's tough. But, I mean, Packers are taking care of business. This is kind of a revenge game. The Vikings handed them their most recent loss. So, Packers came around and just slapped them around a little bit. So, Packers, I think, no matter what, have that 1 seed locked up then, or no? They're 13-3. Well, no, the Bucs are 12-4, and the Rams are also 12-4. So most likely you're looking at the number 1 seed being the Packers. We've known that for a couple weeks, but and then we've got Browns at Steelers tomorrow, and Big Ben's final home game. So we'll be watching.
We sure will. We'll be watching for fantasy implications as well. As those of you don't know, I'm about to win my fantasy league. So
no one cares about your fantasy team. How are we feeling, Garrett? Like, what's the vibe? Like, are we back on track for real? I know we said we're back on track. Are we really on track?
It doesn't feel as nice. Doesn't feel as nice as what I thought it was going to, but it still feels really, really good. Really, really nice. If we can come out next week and
just take care of business,
have a strong performance against Seattle, I'm talking double-digit win at least. It's in Seattle, right?
No, it's at home.
Okay, that's fine. If we can go against Seattle next week and have a double-digit win, I'd feel good.
Does it matter to you if we win the division or not? Confidence-wise,
I don't really care. It doesn't really matter.
It's more important that we just win the game.
Seeding-wise, we're probably going to end up playing the same people anyway, right? Like if
we won and the Rams lost, since we beat Dallas head-to-head, we would be above them. We'd at least be the 3 seed. Compared to 5, but
there's not a team in the NFC that I'd rather not like. I feel like it's all a pretty level field. Like there's not a team that I would rather not play. I guess the Packers would be the one I would rather not play. That's but as far as the Bucs or the Cowboys, Rams, whoever else, I don't really have anybody who I'm scared of besides, I guess, the Packers.
Yeah. Like we said, it's a big game to win today, to get a little momentum back, going on the road, playing a good team, a contending team, a favorite to go for in the playoffs. Kind of assert yourself, get yourself back on track. It doesn't mean anything if you lose next week, though. I think you got to have it. You got to have back-to-back. You got to win, show that you can win at home, and then whatever happens with the Rams happens. If they win and we don't win the division and we get a wild card, so be it. But it's very important to get that win either way, just to build a little more momentum. So we'll see what happens. But Cardinals win 25-22, a good day, and we improved 11-5. So anything else you want to add in?
I don't think so.
That's all, folks. All right. Like, subscribe, give us 5 stars on Apple Podcast or whatever. Appreciate you listening this long. As always, go Birds. See you next week.
Peace out.